Welcome to Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball. I'm Dan O'Day along with Steve Romano. Hey, Steve.
Hey Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Let's talk a little Major League Baseball, shall we?
I like it.
Yeah, I do like it too. It's been an interesting week. There's been some teams going up and some teams coming down. But I like to ask you every week. I don't know if you look. I know we both look at it on a regular basis, but I don't know if you know offhand who has the best record in each league.
Well, I know just a couple of days ago I had looked because the Tigers and Cubs played each other, and those are two of the best. And at the time, Tigers were one and Cubs were three. So I'll go with Tigers.
Tigers are first. Very good. Who is the top team in the National League?
Uh, is it the the Dodgers?
I'm sorry, Steve. We have a trip to Walla Walla, Washington for you, though. Um, the Dodgers are the third best National League team. The New York Mets are first,
Oh,
42
oh,
wins,
okay.
24 losses, a 636 percentage. The Cubs are second, 40 wins, 615 percentage. And the Dodgers just on the cusp of 40 wins with 39 wins in 27. So interesting. The Dodgers will stay in the West. They are 5-5 in their last 10. They're only one game ahead of both San Diego and San Francisco, both with different
Mm,
records, 37 to 27, 35 to 28, but pretty much the same percentage, one game back, 578 to 576. Arizona, 4-6 in their last 10, falling farther behind, 7.5 back. And Colorado, Steve, I got information about Colorado later on as we keep talking. But Colorado, Steve, are 12 and 53, and their 3-7 week is
yeah,
actually not so bad for a pretty good week for them if based on their record.
they won two games in a row at one
Yes,
point.
they did. So believe it or not, 3-7 is actually a good week for their season.
It's a
Um,
great week.
Sadly, it is. Um, they are negative 198 in run differential. They've scored 204 runs and given up 402 runs.
Wow.
That's a lot.
400, that, yes, that does strike me as a lot. To
I
be
would
given
like to
up on
see.
pace for,
Yeah, I'd like to see the
oh, they're
record
going to
on
give up
runs given up in a season. I mean, they're definitely have to be approaching it. Let's stay in the National League. We'll go to the Central. The Cubs are in first place in the Central. They're 4 games ahead of St. Louis, who's 7 games above 500. 5.5 games ahead of Milwaukee and Cincinnati, right at 500, 33 and 33. 7.5 games back. They've won their last three. Um, Good races going on. Pittsburgh 6-4. I think they won
yeah,
their last three against the Phillies. In their
yeah.
last 10, they're 14.5 games back, but they had a good week at 6-4.
The, yeah, the Brewers still playing good. They've been on a long stretch now where they've closed the gap and pulled up into the running there. I think they're like one of those, they're never really going to have one of those like 10-1 streaks, but they'll have like a lot of 7-3s and 6-4s, and next thing you know, by the end of the year, they're going to be 18 games over 500.
Absolutely,
And
7-3 in their last 10. Absolutely, and I think they have started to put things together. I noticed that too.
and the Reds are wacky, right? I mean, they go from the 3-game losing streak, 3-game winning, 4-game losing, 4-game winning. Seems like they've been doing that for the most of the season.
And that always usually leads to the bad end of that stick. You know what I'm saying?
It usually does for some
Yes,
reason.
absolutely. Usually the losing streaks outweigh the winning streaks when you're doing it that way. And then the NL East, the Mets at 42-24, second best record in the majors, 4.5 games ahead of the Phillies. The Mets are 8-2 in their last 10, and the Phillies
Mm.
are 1-9 in their last 10.
Ooh.
So there's the
What's going on there? Pitching or not hitting? No runs scored?
hitting has not been good. Pitching has actually been decent. Um,
Yeah, I saw that two of those games they lost to Pittsburgh were 2-1.
Absolutely, our pitching has actually been pretty good. Wheeler missed a start because his wife and he were having a baby. Um, Nola's injured, but that was okay. He was pitching bad and he had a setback. Our rookie came up. He's pitching well. The pitching's been good. It's the hitting. Harper's out. He went on the IL. It's it's not good hitting. Things aren't good. Schwarber's been great for sure. But 8-2 for the Mets, 1-9 for the Phillies in the last 10. Washington 5-5 in the last 10. They're 11.5 games back. Then Atlanta. They came all the way back, Steve. They were within 7 or 8 games, I think, of first place, but they went 2-8 in
Yeah.
their last 10, and they're now
Oh,
14 games back. They've lost
yeah.
7 in a row, Steve.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a bad week right there when you lose the entire week. Um,
Absolutely.
wow. Yeah, they did make it all the way back, and then
They
they
did.
got Acuna back,
Yep.
and I know
Yeah.
Strider hasn't come back strong. He's been
He
a
hasn't hit his
disappointment so
stride.
far. Yeah, no, he has not been a Strider.
Yeah,
But
no, it's a shame. But they do have a big winning streak in them. But I did. You're right. It pretty much was when Acuna came back. They did have some other injuries and stuff, but that's a hard dugout to be in. Clubhouse 7 in a row, and then Miami 16.5 games back, actually close to Atlanta, only 2.5 behind Atlanta at this point. So that's the
wow.
National League. Yeah, Atlanta has fallen that. Hey, those 2-8 weeks, not weeks, 2-8 in the last 10, they kill you. They just absolutely kill you.
But there's only 2.5 games separating, just 2 games in the loss column.
Yeah.
Yet one team is a +3 in run differential, and then the other one is -84.
That's
That's
amazing.
crazy.
They're only 2.5 games behind him. Both teams have scored about the same amount of runs. Atlanta 259 and Miami 256. But Miami's given up a lot more runs, 340 to 256 for Atlanta. So that's
Yeah.
the big difference. But somehow that worked out. Could be blowouts, or it just could be that's how the dice rolls sometimes. They're getting by and winning games at a higher clip than the Atlanta Braves are. I think, I think all the divisions in the National League are up for grab. The Phillies can come back to the Mets, St. Louis, this Central.
Yeah.
They're only 4 games back. Milwaukee's 5.5, like you were outlining. They're hot. And then in the West, San Diego and Frisco are only 1 game back. It's been like that all year, Steve. Frisco 7-3 in their last 10. San Diego 6-4 in the last 10. The Dodgers 5-5 in the last 10. So they've just been tight like that, I think, all season.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Since week one, all three of those teams have been there. They've been within 3 games of each other, I think the whole season,
Yeah,
really.
I think so too. I love that as a baseball fan, and we've discussed before. The Dodgers, of course, like the big bad enterprise of so much money, and the smaller markets and teams that can't spend as much money hanging with them all season long. Let's go to the American League, Steve. The Detroit Tigers. We'll start there because they're the cream of the crop. They are loving it in Motown, without a doubt. Detroit is loving their Tigers at 43-24. They are 7 games ahead Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, almost 20 games over 500. I mean, yes, they're having a great season. Their runs against, they get some good pitching happening, and their runs scored seems to be well balanced.
Yeah, they're
And
plus 92
we're
overall. I agree. The run scored at
eh,
325 is third in the American League.
and their runs against at 233
Is
looks
looks
like
like
it's
the
second.
second lowest. Yep. Which, by the way, the team who's lowest we'll cover later. That's surprising. Um, yeah, so that's amazing. They're having just really putting it all together. They brought Flaherty back. Their pitching has been good overall. Uh, their hitting has been, I think,
Yeah,
the big difference. I don't think they're expecting the hitting they're getting. 7 games ahead of Minnesota. Cleveland 7.5 games back, and KC 8.5 games back. And all three of those teams were 5-5 in the last 10, and all three of those teams are
hmm
above 500. So they're all playing pretty good. Um, but Detroit, the cream of the crop. And to finish out the Central, the White Sox 20.5 games back. They were 4-6 in their last 10. Just it's a tight division. I mean, Minnesota, Cleveland, and KC are all definitely in the running for wild cards.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Everybody's going for it there.
Absolutely, and they're all playing,
And
decent.
Kansas City, they just called up their top prospect, who was like a top three prospect in baseball. They're they're kind of like they got to go for it when they have a chance, and they kind of have a chance. They were in the playoffs last year, so yeah, they got to keep going.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What a great division. Four teams, all above 500. We go to the AL East because that's where the Yankees are. And they're 4.5 games ahead of Tampa Bay, who are 5 games over 500. Always amazing. 7-3 in their last 10. The Yankees 5-5 in the last 10. The Blue Jays also 4.5 games back with the exact same record as Tampa Bay. And then your Boston Red Sox, your team as a kid and love favorite team. Wouldn't you say they are your favorite team?
Yeah, well, sure, yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. 32 and 35, 8.5 games back. Not looking good, Steve.
No, their pitching has just not been good. The pitching's not been good. And I mean, look at it there, what, 313 runs against? Yeah, so that's in like the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
And their their third baseman was off to a great start, Bregman, then he gets injured. He's out for 2.5 months.
Yeah, I noticed
Cassis, who
that.
was
They were 500, above 500 when he got injured.
yeah. And Cassis gets injured. Not that he was playing great, but he was their everyday first baseman. And but really it's the pitching because it's been injured all year. They've got Crochet, and kind of that's it, right?
Yeah, not much else after him
Like
starting.
I mean, Bueller has not been a successful sign, and well, Hauk was pitching terrible, and now he's on the IL, and then Brian Bayo, who one of those guys they signed young to a long contract at cheap, and you're like, yeah, that's cool that you got him locked up for 8 million a year for the next 8 years, but he's like a number four starter. That's what he is.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they've been really piecemealing it together because they are deep with pitching prospect and minor league guys, but like none of them are blue chippers. They're
Well,
just like all guys who could be fourth or fifth guys.
right. They don't have any horses, one and two. Just listen to you explain it all and give a rundown. It really seems to me that injuries is a big part. Like, not that they'd be like this great, team like the Detroit Tigers this year, but they would be above 500 in the running if they didn't have so many injuries, I think.
Yeah, if they had less injuries, they'd at least be closer to Tampa and Toronto.
Yeah,
They'd be
I
right
agree.
there with those guys.
And Baltimore last in the East, 7-3 in their last 10, though. Good for Baltimore. Um, but they finally got over up to 400, 406 winning percentage. You go to the last division in the American League. You got something to say about Baltimore?
Just that they have so many, they are loaded with blue chippers that aren't really blue chipping.
No,
Like
I agree.
they've so I'd love if they could get a couple of those guys to play up to their pedigree, it'd be a whole new thing, you
Well,
know?
here's a way to look at it. Um, they could probably pull off a lot of 7-3s in 10 game segments. And they're only, 8.5 games behind Tampa Bay and Toronto, who are in the running for a wild card. So, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
they're only 8.5 games back of a possible playoff position. So let's see how they're going. Good for Baltimore, though, to get it back together. And then the AL West, Houston Astros have taken over the Seattle Mariners. Astros are 2.5 games up. They're 6-4 in their last 10. And Seattle, 2.5 games back, 3-7 in their last 10.
Seattle has gone cold. Their hitting has definitely gone cold. Some of the things that were miraculous in the first month are now gone. Their pitching's starting to get better, back to what it was more
Who,
expected of it.
who
Kirby
threw
had a
that gem? Kirby? Was
phenomenal
that Kirby last night?
Kirby to an amazing start.
Great
Yeah, I
start.
mean,
Sunday
seven
night.
innings,
Sunday.
14 Ks.
Yeah, it was great. It's
Yeah.
great to see. Really great to
He
see.
and he just gave up a hit and a homer in one inning. The other
Well,
6 innings, he just cruised.
wow. That's nice. They
But
need that.
and they got And they got Logan Gilbert making a rehab start at Tacoma this week, I think. So he's penciling to come back in another week or so. So yeah, but Kirby was out. Logan Gilbert missed time. Bryce Miller missed time. Yeah. So, and then the hitting went cold,
The
and
hitting has
Houston
gone
did
cold too, absolutely. But
what Houston kind of does.
Houston does what they do, and they do have a good roster. They are really are strong. They're kind of in pitching and hitting. Texas 5.5 games back. Houston, they are below 500. The Angels also 5.5 games back, and then the A's are 11 games back. 26 and 41. But I wanted to bring up something about the A's because, we've been going over runs scored, runs against, the differential all season. We think that's very important, and it is in a lot of regards. But they have actually overtaken the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies have given up 402 runs, but the A's, no city, the Athletics have given up 404 runs. So
Wow.
they are now
I
ahead, and they have given up more runs than the Rockies. They are not good. And they've scored 289, though. They have scored 289 and compared to the Rockies, who scored 204. So quite different
right.
teams offensively, maybe the stadium. But actually, the A's have some really good young players, and I think some hope for the future. But not giving up that many runs. Of course, we have to filter in that they are playing in the stadium half the season that is going to make all the pitcher stats go a little higher.
But remember, like, the Athletics, they got off to a great
Great
start.
start. Yeah, they're 3-7 in the last 10. I think they've had a few 10-game segments like that. So they've fallen back a little. I like the A's. I like it's just tough playing in that stadium. I think, obviously offensively it's great, but, for pitching, obviously not working out so good. I just, before we moved on, I had my fans from Frisco would be amiss if I didn't mention they have a 5-game winning streak. That's the biggest winning streak going on right now. San Francisco with a 5-game winning streak, and that brought them back up to that log jam we talked about earlier. So good for Frisco. Really impressed with San Francisco and San Diego. Thoughts on any of the races going on?
Well, real quick, I just want to say I just looked, and in their last 25 games, the Athletics are 4-21.
Wow, we're talking Colorado territory.
So before that, right, 4-21, they were 22-21. Or
Wow, they
right,
were
22-20.
so that after 40 games, they were still above 500. Wow, and
And then
now
it just all fell apart. Yep.
not. Maybe do they have a lot of home games? Just wondering.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a hitter's park for sure. Before we move on to anything else, I wanted to bring up to a Red Sox fan that Ramon Anthony was called up, the number one overall prospect.
Yep. Roman Anthony, he's the number one prospect. He's been their prospect. He's just been crushing and killing it. He just turned 21.
21.
Last year he went, moved up from single A, double A, triple A. His numbers were phenomenal. He's an above average outfielder. The Red Sox have been crowded in the outfield, so they haven't had a chance, a way to make room for him. But I guess they're making it happen. I, I,
Where's Anthony going to play? Where's Ramon Anthony going to play?
they're saying he's probably going to go to left, and then Duran goes to center, and then
Right.
Rafaela goes to second. But I don't know if that's a good move, really. I mean, I get it. You want to make room for the kid, but Rafaela, I was looking at Fangraphs yesterday. Rafaela is the best defensive outfielder they have, and it's not even close. It's not even close. And Duran's kind of having a kind of subpar defensive year, analytics wise. And to take away a guy who's like one of the best defenders at any position in the whole league out of center field to put at second base, that seems kind of risky,
Yeah,
don't you
if I
think?
remember, he came up as a shortstop, but they had a need, and he was just so good. And I mean, he obviously had played outfield, I believe. Am I correct? And then they just last year plugged him
Yeah.
out there, and he was just so good. Because he's very athletic, he's very fast.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the upside really is only like a peak level Jackie Bradley Jr., where you're
Right.
like, yeah. He's a Gold Glover, one of the five best outfielders in baseball. That's a definite, but ultimately he's going to hit 238 with 15 home runs. You know,
Yeah, you think so, do you? Can you
For-
guess what he's batting right now
oh,
without looking?
Rafaela.
Yeah,
I guess. Well, I know he's been hot. First of all, he's been on a hot
I'll
streak.
give you this. He has
So I get
213 at bats. What are his stats?
I'm gonna. Oh, I guess I'd say his stats are.
Just the main like fantasy stats.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 16 runs, 4 homers, 11 RBI, 5 stolen bases, and he's batting two 242. No, 228.
Okay, so you will be happy to hear that he has 36 runs scored.
Holy cow!
He's got 6 homers.
All
He's
right.
got he's got 25 ribbies, and he's got 8 stolen
Okay.
bases, and he's batting 244.
Interesting.
I'm just saying, you flush those out, you got, 15 homers, over 20 stolen bases, maybe, or close to. If you batting 240, you're talking 80 plus to 90 runs scored. You're not expecting him to hit ribbies, but he's on pace for 60, maybe, right? So, and
Yep.
Gold Glove center field, that's a good player.
Yeah. It's a great player.
Yeah.
And they signed him young too, like
I was
Brian
about to
Bayo, the
say,
pitcher.
yeah,
And
he signed for a
they've
while.
they've got him they've got him locked up for a while, you
Yeah,
know?
and I always
So
I thought it was a great
ultimately,
move.
I think personally, um, I think they should trade Duran and they should put Anthony in left, keep the Gold Glove center fielder in center field. You can get something for Duran. The guy has fucking value for sure. He's
He's
good.
he's good. He's good. Here's my question: does he have any more years left on his contract? How many?
He might. I know he's got one more,
One
maybe
more at
two.
least, maybe two. So he's got some commodity that way too, because people are always looking for people with a year or two left. But at the same time, I don't think the Red Sox are going to pull that plug until they're like, we're out of it, because they're not out of it yet.
Right. No, agreed.
Yeah, yeah.
And that
But
guy's still, when you watch him, he's a fire plug. So,
he's
fire
great.
plug. Sorry.
I'm a fan. I have him on one of my fantasy teams, and I'm a big fan of him actually. So we'll just touch on any other thing you want to talk about the division races before we touch on some stats.
No, let's just do some stats.
Well, we always like to do the Judge Watch because Aaron Judge is really good. And he's now batting 396. So he's inching up closer to 400. He was a little lower, I think, last conversation. He's got 23 homers, 55 ribbies, 5 stolen bases to boot, and only 240 at bats. Um, Pretty impressive. And of course, you got to mention that he's got 44 walks. I always want to look into that too. Are they pitching around
Yeah.
him? Yeah, he's great.
I mean, that's why his on base percentage is 493. I mean,
Yeah.
almost half the time, literally half the time, he's getting on base.
Who
Yeah.
he plays like? He plays like a person who's 6'7" and 282 pounds. You know what I mean? Who's just a really good athlete. Because he is. It's a pleasure to watch him play. I think, and I think we should feel lucky that he's going.
Yeah.
He's yeah,
E-
absolutely.
Even as a Red Sox fan, I love the guy. I'm
You
very pro on Aaron Judge. I don't see how
absolutely,
you can root against the guy.
absolutely. And then get this. In his rookie season, Jacob Wilson's batting 372 right now.
Yeah.
He's batting
372.
460 in the last 15 games. He's batting
Wow.
413 in the last 30 games.
Good night.
Good night indeed. And they didn't think he'd have any power. He's got 8 homers, 5 stolen bases.
Yeah. Yeah. And 15 doubles. He's slugging 528.
He
That's
is,
pretty damn amazing for
and
someone who wasn't supposed to have any power.
like I said, well, maybe that's a little amplified by the stadium. We'd have to look at his home and away splits. But
True.
yeah, we would.
His 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 slugging is 13th of all qualified hitters.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, yeah. Right
Wow.
above Devers.
Well, I just want you to know in home games he's got 130 at bats in home games and he's batting 400. But in away games, Steve, it's
Yeah.
not like he's slouching. He's got 120 at bats, only 10 less at bats. He's batting 342.
Yeah. All
So
right.
so that 372 is a little amplified, but he's like a 340 hitter. That's great. Freddie Freeman batting 345. He's third in the league. Um, so that's the top three in average. Just pretty amazing, Wilson, in his rookie year so far.
And here we are 40% through the season, and there's 17 qualified hitters batting 300.
17. Wow, that's nice to see. We were,
Yeah, it
batting
is.
300 it looked like it was becoming a lost art in some ways. So it's good to
Yeah,
see people.
like a few years ago, that was down to like 8 or 9.
Wow. So that is great to see. That is great to see. Now, Steve, there's an easy guess for you because you live in Seattle. Who leads the league in home runs?
That would be Cal Raleigh, the Seattle Mariners catcher, who goes by the horrible nickname of Big Dumper.
Big Dumper Rally. That's great. Um,
Yeah,
26 homers. Judge has 23. Otani has 23, and Schwarber has 20. The only players with above 20. That is not a good nickname.
yeah, because he's always dumping home runs into the bleachers, but I just think it's terrible. I'm not
It's,
a fan of it.
I think you could do better. But Seattle. I mean, it's a beautiful place. Maybe they're not good on nicknames, though. Has Seattle given anyone else a nickname through the years that you can think of? Any
Oh,
Seattle
big,
players in any
yeah,
sports?
big. Oh, Randy Johnson was the big unit.
Big unit. That's true. That happened when
Yeah.
he was in Seattle. Absolutely. Was he called the big
Gary
unit
Payton
before?
was the glove.
The glove. That happened when he was playing. Exactly. So big dumper. Maybe it's better than we think. I don't think so though. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's not a good. Maybe we're old and dumper means something else to the new generation. But Alonso leads the league with RBIs 61 for the Mets. Devers, and I'm talking DH Devers with 57 RBIs is second in the league. And then of course Aaron Judge with 55, Suzuki from the Cubs 55, and Crow Armstrong with 54, and then Cal with 53. Those are the people with 50 or more RBIs. Pretty impressive to see Suzuki and Crow Armstrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're right around 40% of the way through the year. So, I mean, if you got 50 RBI, right? Well, I mean, that's like you're on pace for 125 RBI.
Yeah,
Right? So there's six six players on pace for that right now. And if you go down to the 40, there's 19, no, there's 23 with 40. Those guys are on pace for 100,
yeah.
you know?
We're people are getting knocking people in. It's pretty impressive actually to see so many people at a high mark. Just to let you know, the Cubs with his two RBI guys, they have scored 363 runs this year. The only team better is at 367, the Dodgers. So that's very impressive with the Cubs. And as we can see, there's 107 right there of the RBIs in those two players.
And Kyle Tucker has 40.
Oh, does he really? So, yeah, the Cubs offense
Yeah.
is just so good this year. It's great to see. I mean, I really do like it. And in stolen bases, O'Neal Cruz still leads with 23, and Caballero with 21, and Crow Armstrong with 21. I got to do a Crow Armstrong report too, because I am really pro Crow Armstrong. So good. Also, very young guy. Last year was his rookie season. Didn't have the greatest rookie season, Steve, and 372 at bats. He batted 237, 10 homers. But this year, different.
Yeah. And very similar to, there's been people who've gotten elite prospects who get called up and then they don't pan out and then people sour on them. And then the next year, it all comes together.
It all comes together,
You
and I think
know?
a lot of these, even the great ones. I always bring up Greg Maddox, 6-14 with a 5 something ERA in his first full season. Even the great ones sometimes they just got to figure it out. It takes a little while to figure out the different speed and because it's a different game than minor leagues
Yeah, oh, for sure.
for
It's a
sure.
step up.
But
Absolutely.
Crow Armstrong having a great season with 17 home runs and 21 stolen bases, batting 277. He's been so good. I love seeing young players play so well. Let's go to pitching real quick. Steve, can you tell me who leads the major leagues in strikeouts?
Oh, well, I don't think it's Crochet anymore. But who would it be then? Is it Wheeler from the Phillies?
Not even close. Thanks for playing. Our next contestant from Walla Walla, Washington. Crochet is up with 110. He leads the league. Only Gore, you forgot about Gore. He's been up top all season also. He's
Oh, right.
second. He's
Yeah,
second with 108.
yeah, Gore.
Skubal, it's 105. And Rodon with 103. And Webb from the Giants with 101. Why do I sound surprised? I guess I should know that. That's impressive to me. In 87 innings, he's
Yeah,
got 101 strikeouts. Because
with a
last year he only had.
116 whip and a
la-
2.58 ERA. He's
Listen, I'm
having a
looking at
great
his
year.
lifetime stats. Averaged. He's never averaged a strikeout per inning. So this year he's obviously something's a little different. He's definitely at a
Yeah,
higher pace this year with 101 strikeouts in his 87.1 innings if he's had in the third. So pretty impressive. Giants, one of the reasons they're playing so well, they are getting fantastic pitching actually, and from their bullpen they're getting pretty good pitching. Four players
yeah.
have
Chris
eight
Sale's
wins.
been on the rise.
Chris Sale. Steve, I brought up Chris Sale last week in the MLB talk. I love that he's pitching well this year. He's pitching really well actually, but he's playing for a bad
The
team.
Yeah, he's got 3 wins.
Yeah,
You know,
Atlanta, as we said, fought all the way back, and we're like, they're back in it, falling the wrong way. We got four players tied with 8 wins. Brown from the Astros, Fried from the Yankees, Ray from the Giants. That's a great story. And Rodon from the Yankees. Yankees have two players with 8 wins, two starters. Impressive.
and Hunter Brown, another guy who was a highly thought of prospect for Houston, was coming through their system. Did not get off to a good start last year. Kind of was bad. Then it started cleaning up towards the end of the year, and now this year he's just killing it. I mean, he's got the 8 wins. His WHIP is 0.96. His ERA is 1.82. Yeah.
That's
Well,
that's really good.
the Astros they're another team. They just seems like every other year they're adding a legitimate pitcher to their rotation who's gonna, at least be there and be good for their rookie contract for 6 years. You
Yes,
know,
yes, and
and then if they keep them, they keep them. If they don't, they let them go because they're always generating another one.
and they do have a pretty good rotation, especially with getting McCullers back if he comes back into form. Because they got Framber, of course, and
Hmm.
Brown's been pitching great. They're just one of those teams, and I don't know where they are and how much money they spend, but they really do seem to keep churning it out since they were the cheaters back in those days with the
But
banging.
they still got a couple of pitchers, the good pitchers on the injured list.
They
Was
do.
it Luis Garcia, right?
Yes. Yeah, he
Is
is.
he the
You're
guy
right.
like with his windup? He kind of rocks the baby in his windup.
Yeah, he is injured.
Yeah. So I mean, they've got guys who've like pitched 180 innings of very good stats in the past that are injured
I
still.
think Christian Javier is pretty good too, a guy who's on the
Yes,
IL.
that's the other one. Yep. Yep. Those two
Yeah.
guys right there. Those guys should be mainstays, and they would be like your number two and number three pitchers.
They're both on the 60-day IL, so they are definitely injured for a while. Um,
Yep.
and speaking of injuries, what other injuries have happened recently? Do you have a little list of front of you of any type?
No, I don't have anything like that right in front of me.
Right. Because there's definitely been some injuries. um, here and there that are affecting teams. Harper's on the IL, like I said, for the Phillies. That that's not a good thing. Obviously, he's not having a great season, but he's having a good season, and just him in the lineup
Yep.
helps.
Oh, absolutely.
And
He
Burns is
he
out.
was having a fine season.
Burns is out, as we
Yeah,
found out.
it ended up he's getting Tommy John as it's about 6 year, like it's a 6 year, $210 million deal. And of course it had like multiple player opt outs, but there's no team opt out. It's all on the player.
Yeah,
So I mean, I
absolutely.
get it. He, he was expected to get big money from somewhere else, and then he kind of took less money to go to Arizona because he wanted to play close to home because he lives in Scottsdale and his
Yeah, I mean,
family's there. So he took
nobody
less
can blame
money,
him.
and I
Nobody
get
can
it.
blame him. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
but it was a big contract.
you
I
can't
was
play.
surprised it was that much.
Yeah,
I was,
I
but
mean,
I can't blame Arizona for going for him. Julio Rodriguez, they were concerned he had his ankle. X-rays were fine though. He was back in the lineup the next day. Otani is throwing live bullpens. He's going to throw one today actually, so that's going to be something to look forward to. And Shea Langeliers is to the IL with a strained oblique, which is never good. Kirby Yates back from the IL. The Dodgers are
yeah.
in need of some back end rotation, so that's good for them. Kerry Carpenter left Sunday's game with a hamstring injury. Logan Gilbert won't be returning from the IL this week. Matt Chapman jammed his hand, got some x rays. It came out negative, but that's probably still a little hurtful. And Korea, Carlos, back in the Twins lineup from injury. Some, big injuries
He's been
there.
playing
Some of them,
well.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, and Josh Naylor returned to the lineup Saturday. That's a big one for Arizona, and they're not playing so well, so they need some offense going on. I mean, we got some great baseball going on. I think still got some good races. Anything's open. How much percentage of the season has we gone through now, Steve?
I really think it's like 40. If it's not 40, it's like 39 point something.
Right.
So it's basically 40%.
40%. So there's a lot of baseball to be played, and it's so much fun to break down the numbers and look at the races and look at the stats. I'm Dan O'Day, that's Steve Romano, and this has been Fantasy Baseball MLB.